Hey, what's up guys? Ryan, one of the other owners here at Rolling Garage, wanted me to start branding these videos as Mitch-Spec, so I'll be titling all of our tutorial and possible product review videos under my Mitch-Spec tag. Nothing will change really, but if you want to start supporting me in these videos I make for the RC Drift community, I'm thinking of getting some stickers and maybe even as far as t-shirts done by Ryan, as he's now doing some serious design and sticker cutting work, as well as small-scale t-shirt work. I know I've had a lot of people ask me about stickers after I work on their car, and I've had a very rare few cut out by Ryan before, so now maybe it's time we get some real ones done for you all. But today's video is all about painting a body. I had started a very special body for this project a while ago, but I had only finished cutting it out before the owner took it to have someone else paint it for them, Malcolm. Anyways, I have a million wonderful bodies up here to choose from, so which one will I choose to paint for you today? To find out, let's head to the Tuner Village.
Yes, what a classic. If you played Gran Turismo 4, 5, or 6, you might recognize this legendary car from the 2004 season in D1 GP, Ken Nomura's Blitz ER34 Skyline. This car turned the four-door Skyline into a cult classic, and I'm so glad I'm finally taking the plunge to paint it in front of all of you today. Before I even start cutting anything out, I'm going to take a fine tip permanent pen and mark out some of the cut lines. This can help a lot, especially on those bodies with really vague cut lines. In the right light, cut lines can disappear on you, and you only have one shot to cut a body out right, so take your time to make sure you get the cut right the first time. Now we can open these scissors up and start cutting. I usually start by cutting this flat edge off the body so I can get it down a little more manageable before tackling some of the actual cut lines. Now we can start on some of the lines. I'm taking our titanium coated curved scissors and cutting the wheel wells. Depending on the design of the body, the wheel wells are pretty much the only time I'm using the curved scissors, and they're pretty much a necessity when doing these, outside of a method I'll show you in a bit to get a good curved cut for your wheel wells. Just go slow and follow your lines. If you need to, you can always cut before the line and clean it up afterwards, but if you cut too far past the line, you can't go back. Now I'm using our straight scissors to cut along the side skirts and bumpers. Every body has a different shape, so having both straight and curved scissors can help you tackle most cuts that you'll find on your body. I'm using the exhaust cutout here as an example, but this works great for cutouts in the middle of the body where scissors aren't easily accessible like the wheel wells, or accessible at all. Using a hobby blade, you can score and snap the lexan and the cuts come out pretty clean. Score a line lightly where you want to cut and then go over it again with increasing pressure. If you're doing something with no access, then you may have to score the body until the blade goes all the way through. Use a fresh blade and take your time because you could easily slip and scratch the body or cut yourself. Making that first light line gives your blade a guide so you can score it deep enough to be able to bend and snap the lexan. You'll be left with all this scrap lexan, but don't throw it out just yet. I try to save some of the bigger pieces, which are good for testing paint colors or using them to make things like bumper mounts and other stuff. These Yokomo bodies also include license plate templates in the wheel wells, so I'm going to save this to use on the body later. For final prep before we mask the body and to clean up some of my rough cuts, I have some 240 grit sandpaper here, and I'm going to clean up some of the edges of the body to even everything out. Here's a trick for the wheel wells. Wrap the sandpaper around a paint or a drink can to sand them. You can also use a Dremel, but I find it's easy for me to slip and damage the body or sand too far, so I prefer to do this by hand if I need to. After we finish prepping the body for masking and painting, we're going to wash the body with a bit of neutral dish soap. This is a very important step as the inside of the body will have a mold release film left that we need to wash out, so the paint will adhere properly and won't react with any chemicals left from the manufacturing process. I usually don't wash the body unless I'm prepared to finish the masking and painting that day. Leaving masking on a body can leave a sticky residue after you try to peel it off, and leaves time for the body to get dirty and dusty on the inside again. I'm going to use a sponge so I can get all the hard to reach areas inside the body, like inside any bumper or hood vents and in license plate wells. Some people also use the green pad on the sponge to lightly scuff the body so the paint will adhere better, but I usually never do this. The paint should cover any of the light scratches from the green pad though. After washing the body, we'll rinse it out really good. It's hard to work in such a small sink here in our bathroom, but I make do with what we have. I'll check it one last time for any bits of soap suds left, shake as much water off as I can, and we can go dry it. You want to make sure the body is completely dry before you mask or paint it. You can dry it with a lint-free towel so it doesn't leave any streaks or fibers behind that you can paint over. I usually just leave it to air dry, so I'll lay a few paper towels down and turn the fan on. Before we start masking, I like to wash my hands with the dish soap before I start. We're going to be touching the inside of the body a lot during masking, so I like to make sure my hands are clean so we didn't wash the whole inside of the body out just to touch it with oily hands while we mask, possibly contaminating our paint job. Each new body will come with a clear film on the outside to protect the outside from overspray that you'll remove at the end of painting. Right now I'm looking at it to see if there's any damage to it from cutting and sanding. I notice a spot near the side skirt, so I'm going to mark any spots with the pen and we can cover them with some tape later. Now we can start masking. This is a daunting task for many, but 90% of a good paint job comes from the prep work, so take your time and make sure you do a good job with the masking. With the large front and rear windows, I find it's easiest for me to line up the two top corners and press it down after that, rather than to try to line up the two right or left corners first. I also tend to prop the body up against a wall so I can use two hands to align the mask, but due to how I have the camera and table set up for this, I can't, so making do again. An important tip would be to press your finger around the outer edges to try to seal the mask from any paint. It's okay to have air bubbles in the middle of a mask, but if your edges start peeling up anywhere, you're more than likely going to have some paint bleed there. The masking for these headlights have some relief cuts so the mask can curve to fit, and I've always found those to be likely to have some paint bleeding, so I'll check those once I finish everything. So now I have everything masked up except for one window you can see. I noticed the mask for this window was damaged and had torn at some point, but this gives me the opportunity to show you how to make your own masking out of some masking tape. I first marked the outline of the window on the outside with the pen. For RC bodies, we use this really thin yellow masking tape. I'm going to tape over the whole window, and since the tape is so thin, I can see the outline of the window through the tape, and I'm going to cut it out carefully with the hobby knife and peel the excess off. This was something I remembered after finishing. If you don't have masks for something, but you do have decals, you can cut the decals out and use them inside the body as masking, and they should be sized pretty well, like if I wanted to use these as a grill mask. Looking at the headlight masks, I can definitely see air pockets under the masks, and this is after I pressed them down as much as I could. Paint will find a way through those cuts into that air bubble any way it can, so to prevent paint bleed as much as I can, I'm going to tape over the cuts in the headlight mask. Before I start painting, I'm going to give all the masks one last hard press to make sure the edges are adhered properly. If you see any edges that aren't sticking, feel free to cut them away and replace with some fresh masking tape. This will be the last chance you get to protect any parts you don't want painted from paint. Don't forget to tape up any marks in your overspray film. Here's a Mitch-Spec paint trick. I take some duct tape and put some on the roof like this. Now I have a handle to easily and securely hold the body while painting. It's a beautiful day outside here in Sacramento. We're at about the peak of the heat for today at 92 degrees. You don't want to paint in weather less than 50 degrees Fahrenheit or in any extreme winds. We have a slight breeze today, which isn't ideal, but I can make do. I've had my cans outside heating up for a bit, which will help thin the paint and increase the pressure, making them spray closer to airbrush quality. For lexan bodies, you always want to use a polycarbonate compatible paint such as the Tamiya PS paint. We're going to thoroughly shake the paint for at least 3 to 5 minutes before we spray. Now we can start painting. The first coat you want to spray very thin and light. This will help the paint seal the edges of your masking, helping combat any paint bleeding. It's generally the best practice to spray your darkest colors first. That way the dark colors don't bleed through the light colors, but since this body is going to be all white backed with black, I'm just going to paint the white first. Hold the can 10 to 12 inches away from the body and mist on your first coat. We're going to let this first coat dry between 10 to 15 minutes depending on your ambient temperature. This is what it looks like after the first coat. Very light and you can see through it. Now for the second coat, and I always shake the can between coats before I spray to make sure the paint is mixed well. We're going for another light coat here. One thing important to look at when painting is all your hard to reach areas such as bumper assesses and license plate wells. These are areas that you don't want to forget to paint in. You can even forget obvious spots such as the bottom of bumpers and side skirts, so try to spray evenly and equally across the whole body. After the second coat is when I start to go a bit heavier with the paint. Not too heavy or you risk making the paint run on the inside or the paint having a reaction as the solvent in the thick layer under the next layer you spray tries to gas up to the top. I'm going to speed it up through some of these coats. Here I'm holding the body up against the sun to see how much I can see through the body. You can also see where you need more paint by doing this. This is coat number 4. This is coat number 5, and I'm almost out of paint in this can, and I'll probably call it for the white here. It looks pretty good so far, so we're ready to back it. Now I'm going to start with the black backing paint. Typically backing paints can alter the shade or color of the first color paint you sprayed, so you can use this to lightly change the shade of your body color, darker by using black or brighter by using white, or even blend translucent paints with a backing color for something completely different. But for this body, I'm mostly concerned with seeing white through the clear windows, so by backing in black, we won't see any bright colors through the windows, keeping a scale look to the body. It should be okay to start spraying this a bit heavier, but since our last coat of white was heavy, I waited a while to make sure the white was dried so I don't gas the white paint up through the black, and I also started the first coat of black pretty thin. So this last take I got caught up filming one of the local teams, Team Bust, and I forgot to unzoom the camera, so thanks Team Bust, the RC crashing team. But basically after 3 medium coats of black, we're left with this. If you're backing for a color change, you want to make sure the backing is even, or you'll end up with spots of the paint that don't match the shade of the rest. With these Yokomo bodies, there's usually not a defined line for the window trims, but before you remove the overspray film, you can cut around the window trim lines, remove the film that covers the window trim, and spray your window trims with black and then flat clear on the outside. This is usually how the pros get those super crispy window trim details painted on. After you're finished painting, it's time to remove your maskings. You can choose to either wait and let the paint cure before you peel them all up, or do it before the paint has fully dried yet. Once I read something about peeling the masking up while the paint is still uncured, which can prevent tape bites when you peel the tape up, and since then I've always peeled the maskings up before the paint is dried, and my masking lines usually come out really clean. I noticed a little paint bleed on one of the headlights, but peeling the masking up while the paint was still drying, I was able to wipe most of it off with some light solvent. Now for every painter's favorite part, it's time to peel off the overspray film and reveal your shiny new body. I noticed I sprayed the bottom of the side skirts and rear bumper a bit thin, but the livery should help take away from those areas. If you mess up on the paint, just cover it with stickers. So I'm going to go over a couple decal application tricks I learned from Yokomo. The first here is what I use mostly. First, we're going to cut the decal as close to what we want to use as possible. I'm going to show you with this window decal. Then we'll peel up part of it in the middle or on the edge, and we're going to cut part of the backing paper off, leaving a small sticky side we can stick the decal on with. If we need to reposition it, we can peel it off and move it. Once you have the final position, peel one side of the backing off and stick everything down in the middle and move out towards the edges, pushing any air bubbles out. For window trim decals like this, where I want the clear window but to leave the window trim decal, I cut the window section out with a sharp blade and peel the window decal out, leaving a clear window and a window trim decal. The next method I've never done before. This was actually my first, and I know window tinters use this method. I have some soapy water in an old spray bottle, and I'm using a taillight decal I'm not using on another Skyline body I'm also not using at the moment to try this method. I'm going to spray down the light with soapy water and stick the decal on. The water should help the decal to slide into position where I need it without sticking fully. I can press it down and dry it with a towel. Yeah, that first time it pretty much just stuck instantly. Maybe I didn't use enough water, so I sprayed more on and it helped a little, but this method seems messy, and soapy water can also make the adhesive on the decal less effective. So using the first method I showed, I'm going to go ahead and finish this livery out. The method is especially useful on bigger stickers, but the smaller ones I usually position by holding it with a hobby knife. This body set usually comes with a reference sheet of the finished body that you can use for a sticker placement, but this body unfortunately must have been missing it, so I had to use a combination of pictures of the actual body set, a 1/24 scale model of the 2004 car, and pictures of the actual car to reference for all the stickers. And after realizing you guys couldn't really see anything from the other side, I decided to move the camera so you could watch the progress of this side. One thing I always loved about Japanese liveries that some people don't understand is the reversing of the decals on the opposite side of the car that made the whole flow of the logo design the same on each side. It always seemed like more than just slapping a bunch of companies on the car and calling it a livery. Each brand was laid out carefully based on size and logo design that just made it seem like the liveries were more thoughtfully laid out. A true testament to the Japanese dedication to craftsmanship. And you know you finally reach the end when that D1 GP window banner goes on. This body turned out beautifully. I'm glad I could finally paint up one of my D1 bodies that could probably be considered vintage Yokomo Drift by now, and I hope Nobuken would be proud to see it today.
B12 motor made for the motorsport. C12 Veda Hives, just a no sport. This act got me fitted, but I'm pulling a couple more. That's 100 band whip, and I got the scissor doors. Roll head in the whip, shitting down with the blip.
That wraps it up for this Mitch-Spec tutorial. Thank you for watching as always. I hope you learned something new from watching, and even if you knew how to paint a body already, I hope I could provide you with some new tip or trick to use the next time you go to paint your next body. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our shop's channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. As always, see you next time.
Girl, you're not gonna slide too. I was to my fly.